Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is Ara, and kermaco designworks, mech design, hard surface design in ZBrush, although we're not really doing hard surface design this time around. But let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay and see my screen. And all the internet stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment, questions. It really helps us if you subscribe and like, and also leave a comment. It doesn't liking something doesn't really cost you anything, but it definitely helps us with a lot of things. So yeah, please do that. And if somebody could let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. If you can hear me okay on YouTube and Twitch, I think we're golden and we can get started. All right, let's turn this off. And yeah, we're going to be continuing our work on this guy today. Let's see what's going on here. Screen, all right. Display capture. I don't know why this is not taking up the whole screen. Here we go. I don't know why somehow it moved. So let me fix that. There we go. All right. So loud and clear on YouTube. Awesome. Thank you, Olicron. And let's see if we can get somebody on Twitch too. That would be awesome. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Other than that, I think, yeah. So just wait a couple of seconds here for somebody on Twitch to chime in, and then we can get going. All right, I see there's quite a few of you on here, so come on. Somebody just let me know. All right, I'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll get going. I'm itching to go, people. Please chime in. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. PCH 118 said we're all good, so that's the go ahead, and we can get started. Okay, so I did very little work on this. I actually did do a little bit of work on this in kind of another offshoot, just to kind of play around. But I kind of wanted to come back to this because I think these stages are really important, and I also kind of wanted to do a redo anyway. But I did do something here. I brought in a body, and the body is just a simple kind of, you know, I have a base mesh, which has, which basically is broken out by polygroups. Let me turn the head back on. So just broken up by polygroups and for fingers and everything like that. And it's got UVs. So I'm just basically, I just threw this base mesh in here just to kind of have it as one of the options. So that's the only thing I did. Other than that, it's pretty much what we had before, right? And today I was going to do a little bit more sculpting on this, and then I think people were very interested in how I'm going to break this into parts. So I will be doing that. All right, so I'm going to hide the body for now because I'm just going to focus on the head today. Maybe we'll get a chance to work on the body, but mostly today it's going to be the head. All right, so as we kind of discussed this part, let me bring up my references. I'm kind of having a bit of an adventure with the Stream Deck settings, but I think I figured out what it is today finally, and so everything is working okay. But let me just load my refs here. All right, this is the stream ref. There it is. And I'll bring it up for, if you guys weren't here last time, I'll bring it up so you guys can see what we're talking about. All right, so basically, this is my reference sheet right here. It's very kind of, you know, sparse. I usually have a more intense reference sheet, but it's mostly AI images. I don't know if this is AI or not. Yeah, this might be AI. I mean, this looks like AI garbage, but yeah. But these are mostly AI images, and you know, they're good when you first look at them. You're like, wow, this is really great. But the minute you start zooming in, you kind of go like, okay, what is going on over here, and how is this, and you know what I mean? Like it's just really confusing. But as a reference, as influence, it's great. So so I'm just kind of going off of that. And again, one of the things that you can do here that you can't do in AI, of course, is it's a full 3D model. You can do all sorts of things with it. And I don't know how far AI is from being able to do that yet. Okay, so what we had here, I don't know if you guys recall, but we basically were working on this helmet. And I'm going to solo it out so you guys can see. And just sculpting, kind of trying to, you know, mimic this one is kind of the, you know, the star reference. This one also has some interesting things to it, although I don't know how these, you know, little pistons over here would work. Yeah, it's kind of one of these things where, you know, I got to kind of take this image that kind of looks interesting and make some sense out of it. I'm going to use this for some of the clothing reference. I see some interesting aspects here that I might use, but this is kind of the star image, right? This is kind of the one I'm going off of, at least initially, and then we'll kind of fork off that one, and also and also this one for this kind of these parts on the side, which I thought kind of looked interesting, and the top. So yeah, I mean, AI definitely has its uses. It's not the end all be all for me, but I also use it for finding references at this point. Okay, so this is the head, and then we had this skull in it before. Oops, I think this one. So this skull is kind of the one inside. I did do another version of it. I kind of brought it in here just because I thought that would be kind of cool. So here's another version of the skull. It's basically just some minor sculpting on the initial skull that was there. So I'll just leave the initial skull in there for now, and then let's go ahead and start going on this. Let's see, is there anything else I want to do before I get started? And by the way, this is just a Dynamesh model right now, and kind of very loose. I'm just trying to get some kind of basic shapes in there, and then going off of that. All right, I'm going to unsolo it, bring up the skull, and I'm going to do a little bit of a thing here where I'm going to give this thing a little bit of color. Maybe something like this, just so it's a little bit of a different color than the skull, just so I can know what's, you know, what's what. Maybe a little bit more saturation, maybe something like this. Yeah, that's good. And I'll just fill object. So I basically have that kind of separated out from the skull. Right, and then I'm just going to go to Damien Standard here and just kind of start getting some ideas of how to do this. And also I want to incorporate the visor. So here's the visor, right? This is what it looks like. And what I want to do is I want to determine what part of the visor is going to be part of the helmet and what part of it is not. So I kind of like this outline of it, but I don't know if I like this bit over here coming down. So let me just move it up and move this up a little bit just to kind of give myself some room. I'm going to turn transparency on so I can kind of see where the skull is underneath. And maybe turn ghost on just to give it a little bit more detail. All right, and then just see if I can find some sort of plane over here for this part. And let me do something here real quick. I'm going to turn the display off just for a second here. And do this. Okay, and then turn the display back on. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to make a small change. And so here I'm just using H polish to kind of get more of this shape here. Yeah, I think what I want to do here, let me bring up the body. So there's this kind of back hanging up over here, and so I want something to be connected to this. And for the character, I'm thinking maybe this thing is some sort of, for the story behind it, maybe, you know, this is some sort of person that was going to die, and what he did was he made this kind of robotic body, and he instructed the robotic body to and it's an alien, kind of alienoid person. So he basically instructed this robot to take his skull after he's dead, and put it inside of this robotic suit, and continue to function as he would. So he's kind of like maybe some sort of, I don't know, some sort of maybe a pilot or some sort of character that has an important function. And again, I don't know if it's a good person or a bad person. I mean, immediately when you put in a skull, it means bad. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a menacing look, so it's not like he's a friendly person. But, I kind of feel bad about the skull being an evil thing because it's just such a natural thing. But I think people are naturally averse to it because it reminds them of, like, of kind of scary stuff. So even though skulls are usually smiling, it's always portrayed as something evil or bad. So I don't know how I'm going to get around that. But yeah, so maybe it is going to be kind of a villain of sorts. All right, so I just basically created this kind of hole in the back by using trim hole, this one, and this brush. And I'm just kind of going to make a little area here where I'm going to have some sort of a tube or something kind of sticking out of there. And I guess I could do that now. Okay, so I'm just going to use a insert IMM brush. So B, and where there's one that has insert mesh, and I think, is it this one? No, it's this one right here. It has a whole bunch of mechanical parts, and I'll press M and find the one that I want. Maybe, let's go for, the problem with these brushes is they have kind of horrendous topology, like especially here. Like, I don't like what's going on in this area. Just because if I add an edge loop, it's just going to go all over the place and it's not going to function well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my my primitives brush. And by the way, I should mention this. This would be a good time to mention it. My primitives brush is something that is available to you on my Gumroad. So we'll talk about the Sculpt Off in a minute. I'm kind of considering maybe participating. I don't know. But the thing I was going to talk about is if you go to my Instagram, okay, so it's kermaco.com. Here are some of the latest things I've worked on. I usually post stuff. I haven't been very busy on it lately just because I've been busy with other things. But if you go to the link tree here, it has a link to my Gumroad right here, okay? And if you go to that, these are my primitive brushes. So I've got two versions of them. I've got a free version, which has 17 brushes, and it's pretty much almost, this is what you probably need. But if you want these extra bits and bobs that come here with it, you can get the pro version. And of course, it does help me if you, it's kind of like a, it's pretty inexpensive. It's $5. So you can just either purchase this one or get the free one. And also notice here that I've got my UI colors if you like those for free as well. So again, the best way to get to that is just go to kermaco on my Instagram. You can always follow me here as well if you want to kind of see what I'm working on, and pick yourself up the primitives brush if you don't already have it. It is kind of useful, and I'm going to be using it right now. So I've got it down here somewhere. Here it is. right? And this is the pro version, and here are all the brushes, primitives. So the primitives are all polygrouped. They're all good topology, and they are super, super useful for a lot of different things. So I'm just going to use the cylinder. Let's go ahead and start with the simpler one, cylinder 16. Just go ahead and pop that on. So there it is. And I just want that to go over here, like so. And the reason why I'm mentioning that I like the topology of these more is because if I add an edge loop, it'll go all the way around. It doesn't, it won't kind of, turn around back on itself. Right, so we just kind of want this to be maybe like that, and like some tubes and stuff are going to come out of it. And of course, I don't want this simple shape, so I'm going to go ahead and instead of just inserting it, I'm just going to add it. So the way I would do that is I just go here to append, and I will append one of these Polymesh 3Ds, which is this. And then while I'm on that Polymesh 3D, if I press W for move, okay, and if I pick whatever primitive I have here, it will replace it with that primitive. So here I'm just going to scroll down to the cylinder. I'll pick cylinder 16, which is 16, and just 16 sides to the cylinder. And there it is. And what I want to do with the cylinder is do a little bit of sculpting on it. And stop sending me text messages, people. I'm streaming. Okay, and there it is. And so what I want to do now is just go to ZModeler, add an edge loop over here, like so. And then, so this would be kind of the base that connects to his head. And I'll just move this to its location. But I do want to keep it kind of not rotated in space. All right. And just do something like this, and move it over to here, move it over to here, maybe something like that. Let me turn transparency off just so I can see what it's doing. Okay, so, and I might rotate it later on, but for now I just want it to kind of be pointing downwards, and I think this is good where it is. I think the size is okay. Maybe make it a little bit bigger like that. Move it over. Okay, that's good. And now I just want to work on it solo, right? And just do some things to it. So this is kind of where it connects to the head, but then maybe over here, I want to go ahead and QMesh this part out. So I don't want to go just one polygon. I'm going to do a poly loop. So now it's going poly loop like that. And I'm going to use the shift key. No, not yet. Do this. So it kind of comes out like that. And then I'm just going to maybe use the, yeah, that's good enough. And then I'm going to make this a little bit longer. So I'm just going to go in here and say QMesh again. But this time I'm going to do flat island. So just going to push this part out like that. Solo it out. There it is. And so now I'm going to maybe make this part a little bit thinner. So again, I'm just going to do the QMesh and this time poly loop again. So I'm just going to do a loop this way and bring it in. I don't know why it's doing this. Let me solo it out to see what's going on. Yeah, it's fine. That's weird. Is there a mask on this? No. Oh, huh. Did I inadvertently insert an edge loop there? No. All right, well, let me just do this one more time. Okay, yeah, this will work. So maybe just it comes down. No, still not doing what I want it to do. All right, I think it has something to do with the way I QMesh this out. So instead of QMeshing it out, I'm just going to do something else, which is just mask this part and move this out like that. There we go. All right, and then for this part, I want to let me slide this edge loop down. Slide edge loop complete. Slide this down like this, and then if I just click with the mouse over here, it should slide. No, I guess not. I'll just do it manually. Slide this part down so it's something like this. Okay, and then so that's kind of going to be this part of it. And here I'm going to go ahead and do a split or insert of multiple edge loops, and let's go ahead and add a bunch. Maybe that many. This is good. And then what I'm going to do is QMesh these in. Maybe a little bit like that and a little bit like that. Okay, and if I press D to get this to be, and that's good. Now we just need to do some creases. So crease, Edge loop complete. What do we, that's polygon. Nope, do nothing for this for now. And what we want is edge and crease. And edge loop complete. So we're just going to add a crease here, crease here. And this probably is easier to do when it's not. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to do it this way. And I just want these to be creased, so I basically get a nice edge. Always yes. Oh, I don't want to add a crease here. When did that happen? That's when that happened. Okay, D. D again. Okay, so the top one looks like it's okay. Let's add a crease here and a crease here. Okay, that's good. I think 1 over. It's kind of hard to just get the edge without. Right, so that should do that part. So this top part is exactly how I want it to be. And then these two, I gotta just do them. All right, there's the top. And I can probably do these in one shot, but it's not that much of an effort to do it. Go. And I probably could help if I have a smaller mouse. And then this one. And last but not least, this one, or 2 more. This one, and this one. Okay, so now I basically have these the way I want them. The only one left is that. Okay, so that's exactly the shape I want. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the base of it, right? That's going in. And then what I'm going to do next is go back to polyframe, solo this out again, put an edge loop. So I'm going to go back to insert a single edge loop. I'm going to put one over here and one over here this way. And then I'm going to QMesh this poly loop like so. All right, so again today it's like the quiet group, which is makes streaming a little bit more boring, but it's cool. If you don't have stuff to say, you don't have stuff to say. But anyway, I was going to say that I'm thinking of joining the Sculpt Off just because I was kind of watching the stream today. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it with Paul and Louis. And I kind of got inspired, and I've done the Sculpt Off twice before. First time I won 3rd place, and then time after that I did not win. So, but I think this time around the topic isn't exciting, and I kind of had a vision of something in my head that I think I might do, and it should be fun, right? So I think I'm adding. These are a lot easier if you just do them in without, oh, I don't have crease on. That's what's going on. All right. Edge, it's still on insert. I want it to be crease. All right. And I can do crease PG, and that would make it a lot easier, but why make my life easier when I can make it harder? All right, let me do this, and then D again, there we go. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do, but, right, so there's that, and I kind of wanted this to be the same as that, so I'm going to kind of go back, here we go, to here, crease this, okay, and then I want this to be in, so I'm going to add an edge loop. Right there, and I want to make this whole thing go in. So I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to solo this out. I'm going to mask all these like so. And I'm going to make this go in. There we go. That's what I want to do. Like that. And I want this to kind of be up to, or how about down? Yeah, that's better. Okay. And then what I want to do is make this kind of into a tank shape. So to do that, I'm just going to insert an edge loop right here, and one right here. And then I'm going to go to insert multiple edge loops and then divide this up to something like maybe that. There we go. And then I'm going to poly group, poly loop, this one, this one, this one, this one the same. And then what I want to do is just pick this one up. I want this to be that and this to be that. And I want these to be wider. Okay, I don't think I'm doing this right. So the way to do the selection is if you hold Shift down, you basically will just select these. I want these to go out this way, and I want these to go out this way a little bit like that. Okay, so now, and let me just do a quick crease here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here. Okay, is the preference to add creases, edge loops, and hold the... well, you know, I don't know. I think I like to add creases because it basically keeps the geometry low at this time, and I can change my mind and make changes to it. So I like adding creases now, and then later on, if I'm going to take this out into some other program, and I want to, you know, and the other program doesn't support creases, then I basically will do the supporting edge loops, right? So somehow I lost this crease right here. I don't know why. By the way, I can make my life so much easier by doing crease PG or crease polygroups, but I'm just going to do it this way for now. All right, that's good. And then what I want to do here is I want to make this kind of alternate. So I'm going to use an interesting trick, and let's see if it works. I'm going to do polygroup, polyloop, but I'm going to use a checker pattern, and let's see if this works here. Okay, the problem with that is that sometimes if you have an odd numbered thing, then you get kind of these two connecting to each other. But I think I can make that work for me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to QMesh, polygroup all, and push these in. Oh, didn't like that. Let me go out of this mode. Maybe that'll help. No. QMesh, polygroup all, and then, this is the same polygroup as those ones. Okay. So not a problem. What I will do here is just go to polygroup, or actually another easy way to do this is just using the Alt key and just pick these. And then we'll see if that makes it better. Okay, and then push these in. Oh, I don't want a polygroup now. I just want a QMesh. And I just want to QMesh a single poly, and that'll act on these guys. But I don't know why it's doing this weird thing, which is not what I want. I just want to push this shape inwards. All right, let's see here. I don't know if that's because of the creasing or what the deal is, but you see, do I have two loops here? I think I might have inadvertently have two loops here. So one thing I'm going to do to kind of try and solve this problem, and hopefully it'll do it, is just go to geometry and go to modify topology and weld points. All right, let's see if that does it. No, it just wants to do the whole kit and caboodle. All right, so I'm not going to do a QMesh. I'm going to try doing Extrude instead and see if that does what I want it to do. So where are you, Extrude? There you are. Yep, Extrude does it. Extrude does it, but also it kind of doesn't, because it gives me kind of these rounded edges. So I'd have to crease each one of these, and let's see if that will work. At this point, I'm going to try the crease PG and see if that does it for me. So here, crease and crease Gabry or crease polygroups, so that did it. But that still didn't give me the, it gave me these hole shapes, and the outside part is fine. I just want the inside to be kind of like that too. And I think it's, here we go. So I just have to do these edges. So I can either do these edges, or I'm going to use another trick here. And that's polygrouping these guys like so. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Of course, I can turn radial symmetry on, make my life easier, but why do that? And let's see if this does it. Okay, that did the top part, kind of, sort of, right? Seems like it's kind of not doing it what I want it to do. I don't know why this is protruding out. I don't know where it found that other edge. Yeah, there seems to be another edge loop in here, which I don't want, so I'm going to get rid of that edge loop. Insert, hold Alt down and get rid of it. Okay, that might have been... Okay, so now it's doing exactly what I want it to do, although there's a little bit of funk over here. All right, I think I'm just not gonna mess with this design choice. Not at this point. I might do it later, and I might do it sculpturally instead of doing it modelingly. Modelingly, that's a new word. I'm inventing words as I go. Okay, so this is exactly what I want this thing to look like. So now that I'm kind of done with it, I can maybe what I'm going to do here is create a home stage for it. So that's the home stage, so I can come back to this stage and modify it. And then I'm also going to put my gizmo right at the top over here. Let's move it out of the way, and this way, right? So there's my gizmo. That's where I want to do the rotation from, and just rotate it to the angle I want it to go. So something like this maybe, and then bring it out a bit so we can kind of see those neat little things I made. So this kind of just plugs into the back over here. And yeah, I'm liking this. Just rotate it a little bit more. And so this is the target stage, right? And then I can just switch stages. If I want to just modify it the way it was before, I can do that. All right, so I'm just going to move that back to its target stage and just leave it like that for now. And so now I've got this object that I can sculpt around. So I'm going to go back to the helmet and start doing more work on it. All right, so I'm just kind of modifying it a bit to kind of accommodate for this thing that I just added over here. And doing standard and just kind of create like some sort of a socket for it to go into. And I kind of, I'm not very happy about this space, but I'm sure I can fill it with something later on. Okay, so with that done, now the other thing I want to do is I kind of want to incorporate this helmet visor into the helmet somehow, because the visor part is just going to be the front. All right, so I'm just going to go to that subtool, which also is a Dynamesh subtool. And the first thing I'm going to do is just create a duplicate of it, because I don't want to lose it if I mess it up. Hide that, move it into my build folder, so I've got it there if I need it. And now what I'm going to do here is just mask out where I want that part to be. So I'm just masking out the area that I want to be kind of like glass. And I have to kind of figure out what that is. I don't want that last part. I just want this front part. So I'm going to actually turn off polyframe for now, and just figure out what shape I want for the visor. And here I'm just masking. I accidentally sometimes hit this button, which brings up that menu, which I don't really want. Okay, and so here I'm going to use the handy dandy new ZBrush 2023 fill mask function, where did they put it? Masking and mask by feet. No, it's mask region, and mask region. See, it kind of fills it in with mask, so I don't have to go paint it in. It saves me time, and I really like it. I thought I brought that out on my UI, but not yet. I will. All right, so this part right here is just going to be transparent, and the rest of it is not. So the rest of it is just going to be part of the helmet. So let's kind of see what that would look like. So what I'm going to do here is hit Control W, which is going to mask, which is going to polygroup this part, right? So here, this part is now polygrouped, and then I just want it to be the same on both sides. So I'm just going to mirror and weld it. So now, whoa, what is going on here? Oh, there it is. Okay. So now it's the same on both sides, and then I want to flatten these out. And the best way to do that is you can do polish by groups, but I don't want to mess up some of this kind of facetedness that it's getting, which I kind of like. So I'm going to use the mask brush that does it. So if you go to your brushes, brush menu, I could do this in the brush menu over here too, but I'm just going to do it this way just because I want to. Okay, so let's see, brush, smooth. All right, and there is smooth groups, this one, this brush. And so now this is going to be my smooth brush for now, and then I can switch back to my smooth. So what this will do is as I'm smoothing, you can see it just kind of is smoothing just that edge, so the poly, so there isn't that faceting going on. There we go. All right, so that's kind of good. And then just for kicks, if to kind of smooth this out even further, I'm going to go into edge loops here and do a group loops of, let's say, 2, and no polish, and no triangles, and just do that. So now that basically gives me something even better. And then if I go and smooth that, I get a very nice kind of hard-edged delineation of where that mask is. And I also have a nice little border, which I really like. So that works for me. And there's some funky stuff going on here, but none of that's going to really matter in a few minutes. Okay, so now I also want to go back to the Move tool, turn on AccuCurve, and I don't want these corners to be round. I want them to be sharper. So I can just get those sharp corners just with the Move with AccuCurve will allow me to do that. Okay, let's see here. We got some people coming in. What is the difference between QMesh and Extrude? Good question, and a very good question, actually, and I can cover that very quickly here. So let me just go to Polymesh 3D here and bring in one of my primitives. How about this one right here? Okay, so I'm just going to replace start with just the cylinder, and I'm going to rotate the cylinder this way, center my pivot. Okay, so let's look at this, right? So here, let's say what I want to do is I want to extrude this outside part out. So if I go to QMesh and say extrude polyloop, or QMesh polyloop, it's just going to do this. And if I do, say, extrude polygroup instead of QMesh, it's going to do the exact same thing, right? Oops, I should choose polyloop as well. Right, so it's going to do the exact same thing. So in that manner, Extrude and QMesh are the same. However, here's where the difference is. If I extrude this part out, I extrude it. If I extrude this part out, it's just going to extrude this part. But if I QMesh this part out, notice that what it will do is it will stick it to the adjacent sides, right? So what QMesh will do is it's not only going to extrude, but it's also going to create this attachment to the other side. Here, I'll kind of do some more of this. So I'm going to insert multiple edge loops over here. And let's say I push this out like this, right? And if I extrude this, right, I'm just extruding this. And if I hit B here for smooth, oops, not for brush, D, not B, right? So you can kind of see here that there's kind of, this isn't really extruding it, attaching it, right? But if I QMesh that, if I go here and say QMesh, then it basically creates volume, right? So it basically attaches it to that, attaches it to here. And then with QMesh, I can push in. So here I'm just going to push I'll just do a single poly here. I can just push this in like that. So that basically creates, a lip like this. So with QMesh, I can also go in and kind of do this kind of thing, right? Where Extrude, I can't. Right, so QMesh allows you to kind of add geometry in such a way where it grows it out and creates a volume. And QMesh is one of those things that ZBrush has that's really powerful. So here I'm doing this, it's QMeshing, I'm doing this, right? I'm doing this, so I'm kind of adding, creating some sort of maybe a spigot or a socket or something like that. So it's basically doing this kind of stuff. So QMesh actually attaches, right, to the adjacent polygons, and there's options of how do you want that attached, whereas Extrude does not do that. So if I go here and say Extrude, like there's no attachment happening. If I extrude a single poly, let's say, I'm just pushing, I'm just extruding this out this way. It's just a normal extrude like any other program. Whereas QMesh actually is aware of the polygons around it and connects to it. Ashley, so hopefully that helps you. And then let's see here. Hey, Epic, how's it going from Saudi Arabia? Wow, halfway around the world. What time is it there? It's probably like morning or something, or tomorrow. Okay, let's see. Hello, hand pink waving. Hello back, Parshan. How do you turn on AccuCurve? AccuCurve is in the brush menu, I believe, and it is under brush modifiers. I'm pretty sure here's where it is. A good way to find out is I just point to it and hold Control, and it's brush curve. No, it's under curve, sorry, not under modifiers. So if you go to the brush menu and go under curve, there's AccuCurve right there. I've just put it on my interface, right, because I use it all the time. All right, so that answers that question. Okay, 6 a.m. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're up early. Awesome. Well, morning coffee and me. All right. Okay, back to our thing here. No, this is not it. This is it. Where are we? All right, here we go. All right, back to our mask, and again, I had AccuCurve and Move On. So back to our regularly scheduled program, and I'm just pulling these out like this. And I'm just basically creating more of the type of shape that I want for this. And what I'm going to do is this back part I'm going to incorporate into the helmet, and then this front part is going to be visor. And I definitely want to put a nice sharp angle up here. Like so. There we go. And I'm just going to do a little bit of modifications to it. And I'm kind of feeling a little bit like I'm losing some of that faceting, so I'm going to go back and add it with Damien Standard, maybe reduce the intensity a little bit and see if I can get some of that faceting back. Another way to do it, of course, is to reproject, but I don't know if I need to do that just yet. And, right now I'm working, my geometry is not very high resolution, so I can just kind of mess around with this stuff. I'm going to do a little bit of inflate over here. Like so, and then use H-polish to create more of a facet right here. This way, and then another one maybe a little bit this way. I'm using basic material 2 here because I want to see the specular. It really helps with when you're working on hard surface to kind of get more of where those angles are. All right, and then I'm going to use Damien Standard again and just sharpen this edge a bit. All right, let's see what that looks like. That looks okay, more or less. And again, of course, this will get a lot better as I get more geometry and more subdivisions, but for now, I think I'm okay. All right, so let's see what that looks like with the helmet. Let's bring the helmet back. I don't really need the body or this tube thing that I did in the back. There it is. And let's see where the borders of this are. Why am I on the body? I need to be on here. Okay, the skull, border. Oh. Am I working on, I guess I'm working on the one inside. That's kind of funny. All right, that's not a problem. I can just drag this back out and put it over here. So this is visor 1 that I'm working on. This is the one that is, I'm just going to take one more copy of this and put it up here. Let me make sure I got the right one. Where is it? Just put it under build. There it is. And yeah, we're good. Okay, back to you over here. Okay, and this is what this is looking like. And let's bring up the helmet as well. All right, so this is kind of where the glass piece is going to be, and the rest of it is just going to be the helmet. So I'm just going to go to the helmet now and adjust some things to kind of work with this new thing that I did. Right. Okay, so now it's pretty easy to just separate these out. I just go to that scale. I'm going to see how this one over here, as I'm moving up and down, is more faceted. So I'm going to try to do a projection and see what happens. So I'm going to do that just to kind of get a better understanding of it. So I'm just going to show just these two parts and go to the one I made, which is this one, and project this onto it. So the way that works is, hide this one as well. The way that works is I just have these two showing, and then I'll just go down to project, and let's do project all. Okay, so now I have the shape of the one underneath, but I have kind of the poly grouping already done. And let's see what that looks like by itself. It looks pretty good. This is exactly what I want. I want the faceting, but I also want that piece. So now to cut this piece out, I just go ahead and I need to be on the select. I select that poly group, right? And I just say split hidden. And that will split out that mask. Where are you? Split hidden. Done. So now the mask is a separate piece from this one, okay? So now I've got the helmet, and I've got the visor, and then I've got this part that's going to be part of the helmet. So, and then this one, I can just move it up here for now. Okay, so now I'm going to create a Boolean folder for these two, but let's see what it looks like first. So this is kind of the look I'm going for, right? But I want this to have a little bit of thickness. Well, we'll let it autosave. The file is still pretty small, so the autosave is going to go pretty fast. Okay, so for this inside part, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and add some thickness to it. Right, and I need to remember what this number is because I want the visor to have that same thickness. So I'm going to add a thickness of 0.005. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's way too much. All right, so let's go to 0.0005. That's too little. How about 0.001? Okay, that's exactly what I want right there. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and accept this. So under geometry, under dynamic subdiv, which is over here, I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't want the smoothness. So I want this to kind of stay low poly for now. And I want to go ahead and apply this to it. So right now, this inside part has some thickness. This is what it looks like, right? And there's all these kind of weird things over here, but none of this is going to really matter in a minute. And then also, I don't really need this inside part, so I'm going to push it in. I don't know if it's showing. It is showing, so I don't really need this part. I'm going to push it way in. I don't need to see any of this inside part, but the outside part, I do want to have it be the way it is. So I'm going to do this from the inside here and just bring these parts out. And none of that's going to matter because all this stuff is going to go away in a minute. All that's going to stay is just this frame area. So this is what it's going to look like. I still have a little bit of stuff over here I need to push in, so I'm going to do that from over here, like so. And this would have been a better thing to do before adding the thickness, so I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to go in before I do the thickness here and turn dynamic off. And I'm going to turn double on so I can see those things, and that's partially why I kind of didn't do it before. Let's turn backface mask on. I have it here somewhere. Where are you, backface mask? Are you up here? No, I think I might have it in my menus, but I thought I brought it out because it's something that I need to see whether it's on or off. Maybe it's kind of over to the right here. I'll do it in the menu so you guys can see where it is. So under the brush menu, under auto masking, backface mask, there it is. So that way I don't kind of mess with this outside part, which is, I don't want to really mess that up at all. And I just want to pull this inside. Did I inadvertently mess it up? Yeah, I did. Okay, another thing maybe I'll do here is, man, I can't mask it. I'm just going to carefully just push. Yeah, I can turn topological on just so I don't mess with the outside part, and move brush, topological, and just so it just goes based on where my brush is. Smooth these in. Again, I'm doing my best not to touch that outside part, and let's see if I did. A good way to find out is to bring everything back. Okay, I still have a little bit of stuff over here I need to push in. This all needs to kind of move back. Right, and I just want to make sure, and again, I don't really care about all this weirdness that's going on inside because all that's going to go away in a minute. And let me push this stuff in. There we go. Got just a little bit more over here. There we go. So all I want is this edge. I just want to make sure that I didn't mess up the border. So I'm going to bring the visor back. And the visor is nice and exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to hide the visor again. And now is when I can do that trick with the thickness. Right? So I'm going to do that from my own menu here. Same. Oh, okay. So there are some issues with this. Not a problem. Geometry, mesh integrity, check mesh. Okay, fix mesh. All right, good. Party on. And then we'll go ahead. Dynamic is on. And then I think we were 0.001 is what we had our thickness at. Maybe I'll go a little bit more. Let's go to 0.002. I think that's a little bit better. All right, and then I'm going to apply that. There it is. And now I'm going to go back to this helmet and make sure that I have it working well with this kind of border thing that I just made, right? So I kind of have to have this kind of coordinate well. Let me turn topological off here and turn AccuCurve off, and turn back face mask off as well. Okay, here we go. All right, and I'm just kind of using just normal sculpture tools. I don't really need polyframe here. And I do have a little bit of a difference in colors. I just want to create a nice transition between these two before I Boolean them together. How do I fix the parts that are like Swiss cheese? Good question. Here, I'll show you. All right, so you see this area over here that kind of looks like it's all got these holes and stuff. And I don't know if I dynamic, yeah, you see like when you Dynamesh, sometimes you get this kind of thing happening on like thin edges. You get this kind of stuff. The way I fix them is I just go to inflate here, and I just inflate so they connect together. And then just kind of use smooth a little bit. Right now I think I've got the, let me go back to the default smooth here. Smooth, groups, smooth, just normal smooth. Okay, and let's make sure. Yep, okay. So you just kind of smooth it a little bit, but use inflate to kind of just get some geometry around it, like that. And smooth it out, redynamesh, right? Yeah, you kind of have to inflate this whole kind of end here. Redynamesh, there it is, gone, right? So just use inflate to inflate it a little bit, and then redynamesh it. Wherever there's a hole, inflate, redynamesh, and then finally you'll get rid of those holes. Does that help you, Ashley? Yeah, like here, for example, there's a little bit of funk going on. You know, use the shift key, you know, inflate it a little bit, then redynamesh, and then every time you dynamesh, it's going to go away, and that's the way to do it. All right, let's jump back in to where we were. Hopefully that answers it for you. And go back to this helmet part and bring this up. I think this is the one we were going to work on solo. And yeah, so I just need to make this outside part match with the inside part. So use Damien Standard and just kind of create some sort of transition between the two. That works better. All right, let's see here. Move. I'm looking at the reference here to just get some inspiration. Reference is always good when you're kind of feeling like, oh, what do I do here? When you look at the reference, it always kind of tells you, well, this is what you do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do inflate over here, like so, just to get these kind of connecting a little bit, and then just beat them back. And I do want these to be separated out, so I don't want them to kind of mesh together. I want them, you know, I want them to be like two different things that kind of are fused somehow. So I'm kind of trying to get that thing to work. So yeah, what do you guys think? Should I go into the sculpt off or not? I feel like I've got a couple of weeks. I think that's enough time to get ready. Maybe do a couple of practice sessions, do a kind of a solo stream just to test it out. Maybe I could win a 3D printer, which I like 3D printing, but it's kind of, you know, it's a distraction to me. I like sculpting more and modeling and designing. Right, so this is looking good this way. And then I'm just going to mask this part. And I'm going to choose a different mask here, mask brush. I think I have it in my brushes. Brush. Brushes. And do I have it here on the root? Of course not. Is it under kermaco? Here it is. And mask, AK mask. Okay. Skip this. So now this mask just basically doesn't give me a soft edge. It kind of gives me a more of a, it's kind of like in Photoshop, you have the soft brush and then you have the hard brush. This is kind of like a more hard brush mask. Pretty easy to do. If you guys are interested, I can show you how to do it. But I like this because it allows me to kind of draw with masking. All right, so I'm getting people wanting me to do the sculpt off. All right. Only thing is I'm kind of afraid of that coyote guy. Seems to be pretty intense this year. I don't think he was called the coyote before. I think he was just Louis. Now he's a coyote. What to do, what to do. All right, so now I'm just going to go into H-polish and just create a flat surface, a flatter surface with this, like that. Right, and then just kind of hit it with smooth on the edges. All right. Do that, and then do the opposite on the inside. It's amazing how versatile Damien Standard brush is. I remember the first time I saw the Damien Standard brush, it blew my mind. It's like, okay, I can understand what's going on here. I know he's got a new one. I know there's the GeoBrush as well, but I kind of keep going back to the Damien Standard brush. Okay, so this looks like it works. So I can have some buckles or something over here that holds the visor in. And I could maybe have other things happening over here. Let's see. Let's try bringing some of this out. Then hitting it in. Catan, okay, good. That's the whole point. Part of me is having fun sculpting, and part of me is I'm helping out the ZBrush community. So win-win, win-win. All right, so now I've got all this stuff happening. Let's bring in the skull. I'm going to bring in the one I had before just to kind of see how that's kind of shaping up. Okay. It's going okay. I need to push these parts in. So move, or I'll just Damien Standard it in. Right. I don't know if I kind of like this tooth pattern that I did, but I might stick with it. I don't know. This is the kind of the most fun part of sculpting when you start a project, is because there's so much that is undetermined, so it's more creative. And there's more play than there is just, you know, production-y type kind of stuff. I don't know. I call it play, but other people might, you know, this might be drudgery for other people. Who knows? People are different. All right. So here I'm just kind of, again, just sculpting away, creating like some interesting type of pattern and shape. And eventually I'm going to Boolean these two together. Is there a plugin brush shortcut like Maya? Is there any plugin to set brush shortcut? What do you mean? What brush shortcut? Catan. What type of shortcuts do you use in Maya? Good news is I know Maya too, so I can help. Oh, you mean to set shortcuts? Like, you mean like keystroke shortcuts? Again, I'm kind of having a hard time understanding exactly what you are looking for. Yeah, absolutely. Hotkeys. Yeah, the way to set hotkeys in ZBrush is you so basically, first of all, your hotkeys you load and save, and I've got hotkeys. So I've got a hotkey that if I press Control A, for example, this menu comes up, or if I press Control W, you know, you know, every one of these, you know, the keystrokes, there are built-in hotkeys, and then you can set your own. So the way to do that, and if you go here under Preferences, there's where your hotkeys are, right? So you can restore the startup hotkeys, you can save your hotkeys, you can load them. So the difference between loading and storing is that store means that use them now, load means that load them in, and then save means you save them. And the way you set a hotkey, and let me see if I remember this, I haven't done it for a while. I think you hold Control and Shift, is it? And you click on something. So let's say you hold Control Shift and you want to set a hotkey for my masking brush, okay? Yeah, so what you do is you hold Control Shift and you click on it, and then notice here, look in this area right here, okay? You guys see where I'm pointing to? Let me bring up the magnifying glass. I forget what the key is for it. Magnifying glass, it is Shift M, okay? So Shift M, like this area right here. So look here, okay? I can't make the Paul Gabriel look up here thing, but yeah, look here. So if I had held Control and Shift, and then I click on this, it says, okay, press a key combination to assign a hotkey. So let's say I want Control-Alt-M to be that hotkey. So now I've got a hotkey for that brush, right? So if I'm on this brush, let's say, if I had Control-Alt-M, it automatically shifts my since it's a masking brush. So if I hold Control now, it's the AK mask, right? So if I go in my masking brushes, if I go here and I choose Mask Pen, right? If I had Control-Alt-M, now you'll notice that that's replaced by the AK mask brush, okay? So you hold Control and Alt, okay? Control and Alt together, and then you click on whatever it is you want to set a hotkey for, and then that text comes up over here, and then you basically use the hotkey. Sometimes it comes up with a message that says that hotkey is assigned to something, you need to choose a different hotkey. And sometimes it just, like this time, Control-Alt-M did not have a hotkey, so now that is, my mask brush has that hotkey now. However, if I exit ZBrush now, that goes away, right? So in order for it to be there all the time, okay, the first thing I need to go is go to Preferences, okay, and then Hotkeys, and then say Store. So that basically will bring it up the next time. And then if I want to load them just to have it in a file, then I need to save it first, and then I can load it in, okay? So, and then restores the hotkeys to whatever they were before. Okay. So yeah, hotkeys are pretty cool. Get AK paintbrush. Is it the default? No, the AK paintbrush is not the default paintbrush. It's one that I got a set of brushes. Let me see if I can find it, if it has a name. But I bought a set of brushes. So here, if I go to my paintbrushes, where are they? Like 2D brushes. So if I go to my brushes here, I'll go up one. So no, go back. Here we go. So one more. Yeah, there was a brush pack that I bought on ArtStation. It wasn't very expensive. It was really inexpensive, actually, that had a bunch of these brushes. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. But if I, let me see if I can try and find them. So just go to ArtStation and go to the, am I logged in? I am. And go to where, okay, community, where do you have the store now? They keep changing this thing around. Explore, magazine, learn, shop, here we go. Shop, marketplace. And in the marketplace, just type ZBrush paint brushes. And it should come up. Paint. Poly paint. Let's see if that makes it more. poly paint brushes. Yeah, it's this one right here, right? So this one, it's $4, and it's just these paintbrush set. Okay, so it's got some neat paintbrushes. You can see kind of all the different types of painting you can do with it. So I bought this brush set, and then I took one of them, which is this one, which you see the logo of, and I did the same thing as I did with the masking brush, which basically I took it and I made it so that the tablet pressure doesn't affect it. So that's kind of where that came from. So it's called the draw brush, so that's the default, but then I made some tweaks to it and then just called it the AK paintbrush, just because I made those modifications to it. But even out of the box, it's pretty good. All right, back to this. What did I do? I think I got rid of the tool menu. Let's put it back. By the way, if you want, I'm just going to restore my configuration, preferences, config, restore, custom UI, just so I can get everything back. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's kind of where that paintbrush came from. Yeah, there's some really good add-ons to ZBrush in Gumroad and on ArtStation. Over time, I just, go there every once in a while and kind of troll around. Most of the stuff is pretty inexpensive. I haven't put my primitives on ArtStation yet, but I will one of these days. I keep saying I'm going to do all these things, and I never get the time to do them. If I had an assistant, it would be heaven. All right, so now I'm just pushing this helmet in as much as I can so I can show as much of the helmet as I can. All right, so this is all going to be inside. And then I'm going to put a whole bunch of like doohickeys in there. Doohickeys is a term, a technical term, but I'm going to put all these kind of like little widgets and stuff inside the helmet, and I'm just creating room for that right now. So I'm just pushing these in, and then once I'm kind of happy with the general shape of it, I'll go ahead and just Boolean this part. It'll be a while before I do it, but I think right now it's kind of working well. Do I have a Discord? I don't have a Discord channel. I should make one. I would love to have an assistant. I really would. I would love to have an assistant help me with making a Discord channel, put my stuff on ArtStation, do all that stuff. But it's just me. And yeah, so maybe I should. I'm sometimes when I teach, I get students that can help out, but I haven't been teaching lately, so don't have that benefit. Maybe I can get an intern or something like that. But yeah, a Discord channel would be nice. All right, so I'm just getting that shape to work. This is looking pretty good, just kind of from the base of it. And then I kind of want this top part to be a little bit taller and rounder, so let's do that. I'm going to try and do that with the move brush. Get a more interesting silhouette here. Oh, how do you make the tablet pressure not work? Yeah, that's pretty easy. You just go to the brush menu, right? And then you go under tablet pressure right here. And then use global settings means that brush will use whatever your global settings are, right? So, and I don't know where you set that. I think it's under, is it under stroke? I don't know. There's a, I think maybe it's under preferences. Yeah, it's under preferences and tablet, right? Okay, so this, see here, it says size and Z intensity and all that stuff, right? So if you do this, it'll do it for everything, right? And these will be your global settings. However, you can have each brush have its own settings, which is what you should do. You should just turn off these global settings, and then you can go in here under Z intensity, right? And then, or RGB intensity or whatever, and you can go ahead and just change and then take these down. So if you don't want the brush to, or the pressure to work, you just bring these kind of to a level that it's the same. So, you know, this basically says, you know, that it's going to be different if you press harder. So that's what that's saying. And this is going to change the size of what you're affecting. So this is where you would do it. It's under tablet pressure in the brush menu. Yep. Okay, let's see. All right. You know what's weird is sometimes emoticons or icons show up and sometimes they don't. So L. Beckert is sending an emoticon. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, so basically the AK paintbrush, you know, like I'll load it, you guys can see. So here, let's say if I choose a different color, let's say use yellow or whatever. Let's actually, I thought I painted this thing a color. All right, let's just paint it this color for now. Fill object. And now if I pick red or something like that, let's just go the opposite angle. So if I have blue, notice that if I'm painting, see the edges are sharp, right? And then if I press harder or softer on the tablet, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be exactly the same. And again, if I go under the tablet pressure for this brush, you can see that my tablet pressure here, size is set to, you know, all the way. And so is the intensity and RGB intensity and brush mod. All of these are basically just set to the top. Right, and it's not using global settings. That's the only difference. All right, let's go back to a Daemon standard here, and I'm going to choose a different color. You know, right here, fill object. Okay, here we go. All right. Now I'm just going to re-dynamesh this, and I'm also going to mirror and weld it, just so it's the same on both sides. And let's see, what do I have my resolution at? For Dynamesh. It said 1024. Let's double that. Let's go to 2048 just because I want to add a little bit more detail to that. So I'm just going to do a stroke here and then re-Dynamesh it. Let's see if that actually is denser. Dynamesh on 2048. Bam. Yeah. Okay. So I just want a little bit more kind of detail at this point. Okay. And then how are we doing on time? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I thought it was more later, but it's not. So there's more time to do a lot of cool stuff. Okay, and I'm just going to create like this type of a thing on top. And this maybe kind of... see if that makes sense. Nope. Just want this to continue on. Like so. All right. This is a weird dip over here that I want to fix. I think H-polish will do it. There. All right. How do you save it per brush so it stays? Oh, you just save the brush, right? So you do all the things you do to the brush, you know, modify all these things. And then you just go and save as, and that's why I have the AK on it. It's just because to know that it's different from the original one. So if I made the changes to that brush, I just save as whatever it is, and now I've got a new brush based on the old brush that has my preferences and settings on it. You bet, Ashley, anytime. You're not A cubed, are you? I would, are you just, it'd be cool if you were. I don't know if any other streamers, I think Thomas Whittlebach watched my stream once. I get Shane every once in a while, Olson, but usually it's kind of just people. All right, thanks for I'm trying to make more hard surface brush. Okay, awesome, Juan Carlos. Yeah, man, ZBrush is awesome for hard surface. Like every freaking time, you know, if I had $1 for every person that says, you know, why do you do hard surface in ZBrush? I'm like, you can do the coolest hard surface stuff in ZBrush that you can't do anywhere else. It's mostly because a lot of places, schools or whatever, have like teachers that kind of have no clue about what ZBrush does. They think ZBrush is just for sculpting. So, you know, they teach their students that way. So the students, like, you know, take that as the word. And then they basically, you know, look at what I'm doing and be like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe my teacher wasn't up to date. There are very few schools that teach ZBrush right. I should also mention that. I know Noman teaches it right here in LA, a school I teach at. When I taught at Otis, I taught them how to do it. I don't know what's going on now. I haven't taught there for a long time. When I taught at Art Center, they were doing it right. So yeah. It's so funny. Oh, A cubed is okay. So A cubed is also another Ashley. And she does streaming as well. She does creatures and whatnot. She's really good too. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was you. I mean, A cubed knows her stuff. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that she streams and answers questions as well. But, you know, who knows? I mean, there's stuff I don't know, too. Like, I always learn from Paul. I always learn from Paul Gabry's streams. You know, sometimes I watch a lot of other people, and I'm always learning, too. I don't think there's anybody who knows everything. I think everybody's just learning. I think Paul knows everything, though. I would venture to say that he has been in this game for a long time. Okay, so I'm kind of getting the round shape that I want, maybe, yeah, no. I need to kind of go ahead and do some adjustments. Okay. Let's see. Well, you know, I mean, that's kind of the thing. You know, I have the propensity to want to learn all the time. A lot of people, they just want to learn something enough and then just kind of coast on that, whatever they've learned. So I'm not one of those people. Doesn't seem like you are either. I have my door closed because my cat was being feisty before I started the stream, and now she's scratching at the door. I wonder if she'll start meowing soon. Let me in. All right. Yeah, she's adorable. My cat is truly an adorable creature. She cracks me up every day. It's like having an Instagram cat channel watching her do stuff. I always want to like film it, but I'm always too late. I don't know how those people do it. Like, I don't know if they just have their phones just ready to go or how they get those videos. This thing is looking pretty cool at this point. Kind of like what's going on here. Now, this is an interesting transition over here that I'm trying to kind of figure out just how this connects up. You hear the scratching sound? That's funny. Here, I'll let her in. I'll be right back. The next thing she's probably going to do is, oh, that didn't sound good. Next thing she's probably going to do is jump on the table. So you guys will get to see her. Hopefully she'll settle down though, because she could be disruptive. Her latest thing is she gets on the Wacom, you know, I'm working on the Wacom tablet. She gets on it like, you know. All right. Okay, so I'm kind of liking the base shape of this, but I'm trying to get, there's a nice nuance that the AI image has that I'm trying to replicate. Let me see if I can do it. I'm going to bring that over to here. Here we go. I don't hear her doing anything. It's wild. All she wanted was in. And now that she's got it, it's not that exciting anymore, I guess. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. All right, so like last time, people were asking, like, how do you part things out? So hopefully, you know, I did it with the visor, and I'm probably going to do it with other parts of this helmet, like make it into different pieces. But for now, I'm just kind of treating it all as one. All right, let's see. Wow, we have a lot of people watching today. Thank you for tuning in live. I know a lot of people watch this after the fact, so usually my viewership, you know, it's so weird. It like goes up and down, but a lot more people watch this offline than they do live. But the good news is if you're watching it live and you have questions on what I'm doing, you can just ask. If you are not watching it live, then you can leave your questions in the comments, and sometimes folks from Maxon can get back to you, and sometimes I check them every once in a while too, but not as often. I'm just trying to kind of get this shape to work over here. Bam, there it is. Right, my neighbors are making crazy sounds. That's kind of interesting. They're having a full-on Friday. So I'll probably mention this again at the end of my stream, but yeah, my pleasure. I will not be streaming 2 Fridays from now. So basically I stream every other Friday, but next time I'm not going to, because it's the ZBrush Summit, right? So I'm going to be at the ZBrush Summit. I'm not streaming, and there'll be plenty of stuff for you guys to watch. Some really cool presentations this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I always learn so much during those things. It's like, I kind of try to erase some stuff from the hard drive of my mind to make some room for the cool dump of information that you get at every one of these things. So if you guys get a chance, definitely watch those videos, or tune in live. And I'll probably decide in the next few days whether I'm going to do the sculpt off or not. All right, Catan has a question. One more. Is there any plugin to set the brush in the wheel while click or pressing any button? Setting the brush in the wheel. You mean this thing right here? If that's the thing you mean, that's actually not part of ZBrush. That's part of the Wacom tablet capabilities. But basically all that's doing is it's invoking a hotkey that I've set in ZBrush for that brush. So just like I showed you before, you just set up a hotkey and then you map that hotkey to the wheel button that I'm pressing. So I mapped, the Damien standard brush to a key. And then when I, bring up the wheel and click on where it says Damien Standard, it just, invokes that hotkey. Yeah, so this thing right here is part of the Wacom tablet functions. So if you're using a Wacom tablet, you just basically go here in the Wacom tablet properties and go under, your tablet, your functions, and then you go to on-screen shortcuts, and this is the one, ZBrush. So, these are all keystrokes, right? So there's a keyboard and keystroke, and then you basically say what that keystroke is. So this one is just 5. So I've basically set the mask pen to keystroke number 5, right? So if I go to move here, and that's a keystroke as well, and that is 2. So I basically set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 different brushes, and then I just basically, so here it shows in the pie what it is, and here you put in the name, right? You just type it in, and then then I've mapped this to my, I'm using a 3D pen, if you guys can see it. Here we go. So this button right here, so I've got the top and bottom buttons mapped to different things, and I've got this one mapped to that wheel. So wherever I am, if I just click that button, the wheel comes up, and then I just choose whatever item I want from the wheel. All right. The cat is bewildered because my office looks completely different when I stream. I've got the lights, I've got the green screen, so she's like, what happened here? Oh, and then she climbs up on my bookshelf, and then hopefully she doesn't do something disastrous. Comes with the Pro variant of what, Catan? It comes with every Wacom tablet. Like if you have a Cintiq or if you have an Intuos. Oh, you mean the Pro version, the Pro tablet. Okay, yeah. If you don't have a Pro tablet, I don't know what that looks like. It would suck if it doesn't have it, but I think the non-Pro have I don't know if they have, yeah, how many buttons they have. They might not have any buttons, or maybe it might have just one button. I'm not sure. I've always had the Intuos Pro tablets. That's the ones that I've always used. And they haven't come up with a new one for ages. So it's kind of an older one, older model, and it lasts forever. They're really great. I change the nibs, like the nibs over here. I change them every once in a while, but the tablet itself is just solid. I think I changed the surface of the tablet once, like after 5 years. Let me redynamesh this. Okay, I think I'm getting to something I really like. And let's kind of dig in a little bit more over here. Like that. Okay, getting there. I think I want this coming out a little bit more here. All right, more of this. Good, yeah. I do that too. That's kind of funny. I always, when I'm watching tutorials, I always kind of try to sculpt while I'm watching them too. I think that's the hardest part of going to the ZBrush Summit in person, is because, you know, like at the end of it, I always kind of feel like I want to go home and sculpt, try out some of the new things I'm learning. They have some really cool people this time around. So I don't know about how work is in the rest of the world or wherever you are, but in LA, things are kind of really slow because of this writers and actors strike. So the show business industry here is kind of having a little bit of a difficult time. It's been like 5 months now, and there's no, they haven't figured it out. I think AI is really kind of something that they need to understand, and you know, it's so funny. The business side of it, producers and studio managers and things like that are looking at it like, oh, well, you know, can we just use this to save money? And actors are looking at it like, wait a minute, you know. And I think a lot of the actors and a lot of the people are discovering what it is. So they don't know. They still don't know what it is. I was listening to a podcast by the 5 late night late night show comedians. And one of them was doing ads for this podcast by using the other people's voices, AI voices. And you could just, those guys like, how are you doing this? You know, like, what's the magic that, you know, how is this possible? How is somebody saying something in my voice and it's not me? So imagine that. So if legally the studios figure out a way to do that, then they can basically use actors' voices and actors' likenesses and whatnot, and the actors won't get any money for it. And I don't know if that's something they want. All right, this is looking pretty cool. And I'm going to push these eyes in a little bit. Move. You have no reference? Well, you know, get some. Let's see. What are the big differences between polish, H-polish, trim adaptive, and trim dynamic? They all feel about the same when experimenting. Oh, they're all really different. And I wish I could go into it during this stream, but it's like a long thing. Like that's a, you know, that's like a 2-hour lecture that I do in my classes. I use H-polish mostly, but I also do use trim dynamic and trim whatever, trim hole. There's a, you know, the trim brushes do something differently. Like it depends on where you start and what the normals are. But yeah, maybe I'll, you know, I've been toying around with doing some sort of a tutorial. Maybe I'll do it. I know people have been asking me like, hey, why don't you do a workshop, like a hard surface ZBrush workshop? And again, I'd love to do it, but like I want to do the workshop and create the curriculum and teach it, but I don't want to do all the like setup and the registration and all that stuff, like the logistical stuff. I just don't have the time. Again, if I had an intern or if I had a person that did all that stuff, then I would love to have a class or a workshop. I love the teaching. I love the doing the stuff, the administrative stuff, like setting up all the background stuff and the registration and all that. I can't do. I know a lot of the people that do have those have people that help them with it. But unfortunately, I am flying solo. You know, why don't they make AI that can do that kind of stuff? I would hire an AI assistant. That would be awesome. Like AI, set up a whole classroom for me, you know, figure out the payment structure, you know, schedule the times, you know, collect the registrations and follow up with the students and da-da-da-da-da. You know, like that would be awesome if AI could do that, but no. Maybe it will, who knows? Like it's just still a new evolving thing. All right, this is looking pretty rad. All right, let's put that visor back on, see how that's going to look. All right, so the visor looks like it's going inwards, but that's because it doesn't have thickness. Let's go to the visor and let's add that thickness to it. So dynamic, no smoothing, but we're going to add thickness, and I think it was 002 is what we ended up with. Here we go. Now it just perfectly matches. And I'll put like some sort of thing around here just to kind of make it match even better. And I'm going to just go ahead and do a Dynamesh on this with more resolution. Let's pick whatever resolution this is, and then no blurring. And Dynamesh. Whoa, look at that. I think that happened because I did not accept, and I don't want to accept just yet. All right, let's just leave it be for now, but it's good. It's working. This is what it's going to look like. I'll have a bunch of stuff over here. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm getting so far. Alikran says ZBrush explains the difference. Yeah, you can always read about it, right? You can. But the thing that's kind of interesting is that there is, you know, there's always what is, you know, in manuals and whatnot. You can always also go to, you know, I mean, I'm sure there are videos and stuff if you just Google them that explain it as well. But having like a comprehensive class that goes through everything, explains it, or explains how I use them, I think that might be useful. me see here. I'm just going to turn that off and see if I can push this stuff in a bit more. I'm just going to use clay buildup. And push the stuff in. All right, but now if I do that, this stuff is showing up from here, right? So I need to go in here. And I think, did I accept this? I did accept it. There's all this junk, but it doesn't matter, but I want this stuff to go in more. I think I can do it. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. I've got about 15 minutes left. Let's kind of, I've been working on this helmet for too long. I'm going to jump to the body for a little bit and see what the proportions of it are and if it's kind of working with the entire body. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that I've got the kind of the right proportions. I'm going to just take my skull that I have here. Right, I'll just take the one I'm using, and I just want to go ahead and solo that out, duplicate it. So I've got two of them, and I don't know what happened to this. I guess it's fine. And just for kicks, I'm going to, since it's some sort of alien, or it's not alien, it's kind of, maybe it's humanoid or whatever. I'm just going to change the proportions of it just a little bit from the top here. Okay, so there's a skull. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my proportions are right. So I'm going to just make copies of this skull to see how many of them. So it's usually 8 heads. And I'm going to turn transparency on here so I can see. And let's turn ghost on as well. And I'm just going to hold Control down, which will copy that skull, and just put one underneath. And I'm just going to solo this out so I can just stack these up. So there's my first one, 2, 3. There's another 3. And then there is another 3. So that's 9 of them. Right, let's see what that translates to. So this creature is 9 heads tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which is fine. I mean, it's not a human, so that could work. So the proportions of the body, I'm just going to kind of stick with it. Just say, okay, that's going to be it. All right, so let's look at the body now. And I'm going to hide the helmet for a minute just to see how it matches up with the skull itself. And let's hide this too. It kind of looks too big for the skull. See? I mean, it works with the helmet, but with the skull, it looks too big. So I'm going to go to the skull again. And I'm going to go ahead and expand those out to the 9. And then I'm just going to go back to the body, and I'm going to bring it down to 8. Let's see if that works better. So here I just put the gizmo on top. I'm going to scrunch this down to about 8 heads. All right, let's see if that looks more. Yeah, that looks more real. And then I'm going to go back to the skulls and undo what I did. Where are you, skulls? And let's go. Oh. Why can't I undo? Oh, it's this one. Duh. All right, here we go. Okay, there's a skull. Now that kind of looks more realistic, see? It's always good to kind of do this type of work. I might just go a little bit over, just because, again, it's not a human creature. And 8 heads is kind of, more of a hero kind of size. So I'm just going to go a little bit bigger here now. I like it this way, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So now when I bring the helmet on, it's going to look huge, right? It's just going to look huge, but then I'll put stuff on the body to kind of counterbalance that. Yeah, I'll be putting more stuff on the body here to make it kind of match the bigness of this helmet. And I could try making the helmet a little bit smaller. Maybe. Let's try that. This part is fine. I don't want to mess with this part, so I'm just going to mask it. What am I on? I'm on the body. That's why that's not working. All right, let's mask this. It's always good to get your proportions right early as possible, so that you're not struggling with, once you add detail and stuff, then it's just going to make things a little bit tougher. That's too far out. Let's bring this in, press W, and let's center this. My dot symmetry, and I'll turn symmetry back on. And let's see if I can make this go in a bit, like so. And even just a little bit makes a big difference. Now that's going to give me a weird kind of lip over here, but I can maybe use that to my advantage. I went too much. Maybe about that much, and then let's bring this forward. Dynamesh, and that kind of created this interesting type of effect here, which I might hold on to. I don't know yet. All right. Monster Anatomy's 9 heads. Okay, well, will AI take over the VFX industry? I don't know. I don't know if AI will take over anything. I think AI is just another thing. I don't know. There's some interesting stuff going on. I know Scott Robertson is doing a thing with Viscom where he's drawing stuff, and then AI is rendering it for him, which is creating some interesting results. I see AI kind of popping up here and there. Will it replace it? I don't know. There's a lot of manual and unpleasant stuff that happens in the VFX market. So, hopefully it'll replace those things. But I think I was watching this podcast, and there was a very interesting insight from an author who was, kind of talking about the writer's strike and what about like AI replacing writers. And there was a very kind of good point that she made, that there is a certain kind of human aspect to writing or doing certain things. And if AI takes over and just does that, something will... First of all, she said she would continue to write because that's what she does. And so, VFX is kind of a big thing. So, would AI replace editors? Will it replace, modelers? Will it replace compositors? Will it replace, particle VFX people? So, that's a very big umbrella of replacements. And I don't know. It's new and it's progressing really fast. But the sad thing is that, like, if I look at AI art, I can't tell who the artist is. You know what I mean? Maybe I can tell the artist that it was influenced by, but the AI artists themselves, I don't know who they are. So they're just people who know how to do a prompt. And, I didn't get into this business to be able to write prompts to get the artwork I want and then select the ones from there. I think that might appeal to some people that don't have any skill. Like, if somebody is new to ZBrush and it's really difficult for them and they don't want to learn it, they might be swayed by doing AI. But, I don't know. I mean, you know, some people might be swayed by doing AI, but But I don't, I don't know. I think it will replace some tasks, but I don't think it'll replace anything. I mean, the industry was really scared when digital tools came by. So like a lot of the old kind of, painters and stuff were really intimidated by the computer generated artwork. CGI was like a kind of a cuss word. A really interesting thing is, if you guys are interested in this topic, watch the ILM thing on Apple TV, and it kind of goes through when Industrial Light and Magic went from doing analog work, like around the Jurassic Park time, to doing digital stuff, right? So digital is there in a big way now, but they're still doing analog sculpting. They're still doing, practical sculpting, practical effects and stuff like that. So I don't think it'll take over. I think we'll still kind of have things that we do, but I think the world's going to be a little bit different. I'm familiarizing myself with AI. I definitely, you see me using AI reference. So that kind of helps. But, I still prefer to work in ZBrush. All right. Is there an advantage to having local symmetry on versus just cross and axis? Absolutely, right? So, if you move something off of the center axis, so if I bring up the floor here, right? So right now my character is centered, so I have symmetry on. But if I move this helmet over to the right here, I'll do it. Oh, let me turn symmetry off first. So if I move this off to here, right, and I turn symmetry on, right? So if I'm working now, it's not symmetric because it is wanting to be symmetric across this axis, right? So then I'd have to turn local symmetry on. And now notice that I do have symmetry on there. Does that make sense? So yeah, local symmetry is really useful. And then of course there's dynamic as well, which is another mode of local symmetry. All right. I did not update my standard there. Yeah, that local symmetry was a really nice add-on. I think that was in 2023 also. I'm not sure. It's all a big blur. But I figured there is a page on ZBrush Central that basically shows you what every single version adds. And nowadays, they're coming out with new, it's not like before where you had to wait a long time before they added new capabilities. Nowadays, they're adding new capabilities as they go along. So if you're a subscriber, you can just get those capabilities. If you are not a subscriber, you'll have to wait until they have a new kind of version until you can get those capabilities, which kind of sucks, but it's not that bad. I actually have both. I have a subscription and I have a perpetual license. And, I'm unique because I use ZBrush all the time, but most people, are just fine using subscription. Okay, how are we doing on time? Oh, wow, 9 o'clock. I'm going to go a little bit over today, if you guys don't mind. Let's see what is going on here. I don't want to report a problem. What the hell is that all about? Oh, okay. Anyway, I'll do some some kind of a few things before I end it. I'm going to do a little bit more work, but I just want to make sure that you guys see my Instagram. Definitely, if you are not following me, follow me. I always post neat stuff. Most of it is done in ZBrush. Like you can see, I kind of did delve into AI. So this is AI, this is AI, but this is ZBrush, this is ZBrush, this is ZBrush, ZBrush. This is world creator. But yeah, I mean, I kind of delved into AI for a while there, did some stuff. It's fun, but it gets boring really fast. But yeah, you can see all my ZBrush work here. And I've got newer work in my Instagram than I have on my website. And my website is kermaco.com, which is basically an ArtStation page. And you can kind of see my work there. I also have a couple of Gnomon workshops. I have one that is 3D scan retopology for production, and I've got one that's a mech design. So if you guys want to kind of get my entire workflow beginning to end, this is the one to get. It goes anywhere from using VR to using ZBrush to using Substance Painter and rendering in KeyShot and then compositing in Photoshop. So, it's all kind of neat stuff to look at. Let's see, anything else? I think that's all I got to plug right now. But yeah, and I showed you guys my brushes, so if you want to get them, definitely at least grab the free version. And I'm going to be adding some new stuff to that soon. I keep saying that, but I seem to never have the time to get it done. But yeah. And then again, please remember that I will not be on 2 Fridays from now because it's a ZBrush Summit. So my next stream will be, if you want to catch me live, will be in October, and it will be October, looks like, wow, way out there. October 13 would be the next one, and then 27th would be the one after that. Okay, if you guys have any last minute questions or want to say last minute stuff, you can. Again, I'm going to try and go a little bit over. Maybe I'll go till like 9:10 or something like that. But yeah, ask away. Now is the time. All right, there's that aspect of it, and this one. Yeah, it really makes a difference when you add the body, and we'll be doing the work on the body too, and then we'll pose it. It'll be fun. I'm kind of super excited about this specific stream. Because I didn't do a character for a while. It's been the last one. What was the last one I did? Oh, it was the ATST, the Star Wars thing. Oh, this top part's coming together nice. I'll be adding some stuff over there. This is kind of, I'll be adding some stuff in here. Let me see if I can break this out. My computer has been, one of the fans of my computer has kind of been making kind of a whirring sound. I need to go in and see what the deal with it is. If I figure out which one it is, I can just get it replaced. One thing I can say about Dell service is it's impeccable. It's really good. If you have issues, they'll fix it for you. All right, so here I'm just going to use my mask brush. So I think I went to my default setting, so it's not going to come up. Let's see if it's down here. Yep, it is. Yeah, doing this beginning kind of part in Dynamesh is really nice, and then I can just kind of polish it later, but just kind of doing this part in Dynamesh is a dream. Did anybody order their iPhone 15 today? I'm just curious. No, you didn't. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that VR helmet or mixed reality or whatever they're calling it helmet is going to be like once it comes out. It'll be like one of those things where, you know, it'll take me 10 minutes to figure out whether it's feasible or not. I mean, I've got an Oculus Rift and I like it, and I use it to create concepts and whatnot. But this thing is promising so much more, and if it delivers, it'll be awesome. Galaxy 12. Am I getting an iPhone 15? I am getting a new one. I'm due, so I did order it today. It was kind of a nightmare, but it worked. Yeah, I don't know. I got on the iPhone bandwagon, and I think I kind of stayed on. Like, I really like the iPad. I like the iPhone. I think they're both pretty useful. But when I'm working, I work on PCs. I'm kind of slouching down. Let me get back up. All right. I think this is coming together very nicely. All right, so next time I'm going to probably part this out, maybe work more on these kind of wings here. And at some point I'm going to Boolean these together so it's all one piece. And then I might not even Boolean it. I might just leave it as two. Oh, you're going to wait? Okay, yeah, 6 months. Actually, you know what? If you wait, I think it's better, because when they first come out, they usually, you know, have issues or whatever. But in 6 months, they'll iron it all out. I hope they don't. I mean, it's kind of interesting, the things that they've added. New camera is definitely going to make a difference. It's almost getting to a point where the cameras are getting so good, like they're going to start competing with bigger cameras. I like it how they show these people like shooting movies with it. Like they have all these rigs and they're like holding it. It cracks me up. I think the USB-C is a big yes. I know a lot of phones have had it for a long time, but I'm glad they kind of did that finally. Thank you, EU. European Union, for making them do it. They probably were planning on doing it anyway. It's just, it makes sense. The transfers are faster. It's kind of a cooler thing to do. All right, I think this is a good place to stop. Let me do a quick save here. All right, so if you guys don't have any more questions, oh wait, what? The Creator movie was shot on a Sony FX3, so iPhone is probably pretty close, except for lens changing. Yeah, that's wild. I didn't know that. That's pretty wild. It's amazing how Sony just completely took over the DSLR market, like in no time. That's brilliant. I want to see that movie. That looks good. I'm overdue to see a sci-fi movie. I'm kind of bummed that Dune got pushed back. You know, that's one of the results of this strike. Dune got pushed back, and a bunch of other movies. And probably, you know, if they don't figure this thing out, a lot of other movies will start getting pushed too, and that won't be fun. Yeah. All right. Digging it, liking it. I think we did some good work with this. Kind of got it to where we want it to be. Oh, let me bring up that tube thing, see how it looks. Yeah, it looks good. I think we, since we resized the helmet, I need to move this in a bit, but it'll still work. All right, so this is what that's going to be. And I'll probably have like some sort of a tank or something behind it. So maybe like, you know, there's some fluids that go into the sky. It's going to be really interesting to figure out, like, you know, iron this sky out and the character that it is. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to make the fingers longer. For that, I'm going to use Move Elastic. And I'm going to turn on Topological. And let's see if we can make these bigger. There we go. Since it's like this alien-y type of thing, it looks good if it has longer fingers. And I'll use the inflate brush in a minute. Organic curve will help here. Yeah, I'll flesh out where the knuckles are. Right now, oh man, I totally messed it up. I'm going to go back to the way it was. Yeah, I'll probably work on this next time, on the fingers and the body. The helmet, I think, overall, the shape kind of is exactly what I want it to be, so I'll just have to refine it later on. But I'll kind of start doing the similar kind of things here to the body and add parts. And then once we kind of have the overall thing going, then I'll get into doing the rest of it. All right, so what is your Wacom pop-up setting for ZBrush? Okay. I talked about it. I pretty much talk about it every stream that I do. But basically, here, I'll make it bigger so you guys can see it. Basically, it's just the Wacom settings, right? So you just go to the Wacom settings. So I've got Intuos Pro M. You go to the functions, you go to on-screen shortcuts, and then you can just add one. So you just go add, and then you add a radial, this one, right? Click on OK. So I'll just say this is a test one. Right, so, and then what you do is, where did I put it? Okay, scroll down. There it is, right? So there's my radial menu. And then if you go to that radial menu, you can just go in and just put in like a keystroke or whatever you want to each one of these quadrants. In mine, all I have is basically keystrokes that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 8. There's 8 of them. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then those are hotkeys that basically activate these brushes. So I did the thing I showed earlier where I had Control and Alt, and I click on the brush, and then I basically assign it to 1, and then I assign the 1 key to that quadrant. And the way I have it pop up is I assign it to the Wacom 3D pen. This button right here. So if you have a Sense Labs that has 3 buttons, you can assign it to that button. If you only have a 2-button mouse, then you can maybe assign it to one of the 2 buttons, or you can assign it to a hotkey, and then it'll just come up wherever you are. Okay, Ashley, you're welcome. Everybody else, thank you again for joining. I really appreciate you guys joining. Let's see, what am I doing here? Let's go do this. Oh, that's too big. Let's go back to that. All right. So, thank you for joining the stream. And again, I will miss you guys because I'm going to not be on in 2 weeks. But after that, I will be on. I gave the date earlier. And look forward to kind of continuing on this model then. Until then, happy ZBrushing. And everybody have an awesome rest of the day or night or whatever time of it is where you are.